Welcome. I'm just going to do a little welcome here. Welcome, Jane. It's great to have you. There's a few of you who are just world renowned in your gift wrapping, your skill, your art. It's an art. Like I was thinking about that this morning. We're not in the business necessarily of making a lot of money, although you can because it's a great business opportunity. But the truth is, it's an art.
Yeah, I
What
agree.
you do is an art. And it's nice to see that it's coming back to life, like art, dressing, beautifully, colors.
Yeah.
We had such a season of, staying at home and athletic wear that, now it's nice to see all of this happening. So
Yeah.
I wanted to say welcome, Jane. Again, you're world renowned. You're very well known for what you do. Obviously, you're on a TV show, you've written a book, you've got your own shop. You're in lots of different high profile stores.
Yeah.
So
Pretty much everything.
You do everything. Yeah.
Pretty much.
I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? So tell me a little bit how, I know I read a little bit and I've watched some of your videos, but tell me the journey of bringing you to gift wrapping, because that's always the fascinating story. Everyone wants to know, how did you get to this place?
Yeah, absolutely. I've always been one who loves nice presentation, whether it be a dinner table or a window. And I suppose I clocked these little things when I was a child. And obviously living, on the doorstep of Europe, you'd go off to Belgium, Paris, these wonderful places, Geneva, and things were wrapped just out of courtesy. It was a complimentary thing. And it was a real bugbear for me that you'd come back to the UK and they didn't offer the service. The States were pretty good, Japan especially. I did a lot of traveling as a child and I had all these ideas, but I had no idea sort of where to start. So I was a part-time florist and we had to wrap the flowers and the plants and, people came from miles because it was a complimentary wrapping service for the gifts that they stocked. And I thought, do you know what? There's a gap in the market here. So I went to college and trained to be a teacher to get that qualification because nobody took me seriously back then. This is 30 years ago. And I started running workshops, and it was very, very up and down. So one day I would have, fully booked and be delighted. And the next day I'd probably have 0 or 1 if I was lucky. So it was very hit and miss. There was no internet, none of that, no social media. So this is back in the olden days where it was word of mouth and trying to get known. Nobody took me seriously. They all thought it was a bit of a joke. And after about 5 years, I thought, this is really not working. I'm just not making enough money, that I'm putting all this energy in. And it's very, very seasonal. And a magazine.
This is the gift wrapping when you first started?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like mid-90s. And it got to sort of 5 years down the line. I did a show in London called the Country Living Fair. I know there's one in the US. And I just sold a few bits of wrapping paper, basically to advertise my courses and hand out leaflets because nothing was digital then. And bless them, they did a feature, an article on me in the magazine. And they said, come back to the fair and, do the gift wrapping service at our fair. So I was very honest and said, I've never done it before. I will train a friend and give it a go. And the queue was incredible because they subsidized our stand. And from thereafter, it just really took off because I had the perfect audience and a great venue as well to advertise. But it was back in the day where you had to advertise in the back of a magazine at great cost or go and do, ladies' lunches and do a talk for nothing just to get the word out. So it was a lot of work.
It's how you started. And I think, we've heard it a lot. Overnight successes take 10 years.
Yeah.
And in your case, it's been 20 plus years, but I want to say probably the past 10 years, you've really exploded in what you do.
Yeah.
Interesting. And I'm, number one, I appreciate your transparency because when you think in terms of gift wrapping, we're talking $25, $35, $45 sales. Or, it depends on the hour. There's a lot more to it, especially now at your level and the ability to charge. But when you first start,
yeah,
it's onesie, twosie, and then you have to grow that. And so, but it's Gosh, I remember I heard that you say that on one of your podcasts that you did, where you realized there were, they weren't gift wrapping in the UK, or at least London, the way you saw other countries wrapping. And I remember, I'm not sure about you, but I remember when I was younger and Nordstrom's was a very big name here.
Yeah.
And you saw under the tree, there was a Nordstrom's box wrapped, and that was the gift you couldn't wait to open, or you saved it till the very end because it was so beautiful. And then the US got away from a lot of that. And wrap a ribbon around it from Amazon and put it in, like you saw the gap, and it's like, gosh, why don't we have that back again? I think it's coming back, which is why what I do is taking off so much. But so very interesting. Well, let me ask you this. What did you first start using to wrap? Did you buy the paper local? Did you just figure out, I'm just going to do whatever I can find and make it beautiful with what you have? Like, did you start out that way?
Bit of everything, because when you start out, the wholesalers often want a huge minimum order, and there's a lot as well. So that probably came a bit further down the line. But certainly when I started off, I used all my floristry contacts about how could I get supplies like cellophane and tissue, etc. I'm very lucky that I used to travel a lot with my family. So I would go off to places like Thailand, where I had family, and bring back all these really unique papers, and would probably fill a suitcase full of papers. And they just flew out. And I thought, okay, I'll take 2 suitcases out next time. And
wise. Cool.
It was a real sort of mixture of buying bits on my travels, small wholesalers, and then obviously just having to buy bits off the high street, when you were desperate.
That's so interesting. Shiho, by the way, says hello. Do you know Shiho Masuda?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yes, the two that I've learned from are you and her. I took all of her courses, and then I learned a lot from your courses on the gift wrapping side. And so I've known her for a few years, especially during COVID, and I was taking classes back then, or prior to that, or right around that time, just to skill myself on the Japanese wrapping. Actually, it was before that. Oh my gosh, time has gone by very quick. Oh my gosh. Because I'm thinking, okay, I started the wrapping side of my business in 2018. And that's when I really started taking classes back from her. And then I just started a couple of years back, took your classes. So you both are just dynamos in your style of wrap. It's like, oh my gosh, I could do that. Oh, I can do that. You learn a lot. I've learned a lot from both of you. What would you say? Okay, when you transitioned into starting your classes, did people come to you and ask you, could you teach me? Like, tell me a little bit about that transition. That's what happened to me, but tell me about yours.
I started running workshops in Lincolnshire, where I'm from. It's sort of in the country, and sort of suddenly realized a lot of people were coming from the south and from London. So I started doing those probably sort of millennium time. And I had a real mixture of people, complete mixture. And I always remember when I had my first international client that I just didn't sleep all night. I was so worried that this lady was going to come all the way from Bermuda, and it just wouldn't be what she wanted. And she started a wrapping service out there and carried on. And certainly, fast forward a few years later, I remember one day with my PA, because my PA used to be on the courses with me, because we'd have sort of probably up to 15 people, and 2 of us sort of doing the course. And I remember one day saying to Caroline, do you realize we've got 6 people? And they're not just from Europe. We've got, somebody from Indonesia, somebody from New Zealand, States, Nigeria, Switzerland, and I think somewhere else like Spain. And we just could not believe that these people were coming all that distance just to do a course. And certainly when I ran workshops in Singapore, I had a lot of clients come from India, just to come to do the course. So it amazed me miles people travel.
That's amazing. And, she's taking some people to Japan. I'm going to miss that. And I really wanted to do that. But, it's it's what you love. It's your passion. It's a craft. And the more you can learn and the more you're able to be engaged, and then you, like, Indian wrap is so different. Like, it's interesting because everyone has a little bit of a different twist on their style. And I had a gal call me and she said, Michelle, I'm desperate. I need somebody to do all this Indian wrap for me. I didn't really know, probably just like you, I had to figure out, how do I wrap? What do they look like? What do their gifts look like? It's very different than an American wrap, or even a wrap in London, or some of the higher, profile brands. And so it's very interesting. You never think about it.
No, and I have clients all over the world. I really have to adapt. So I have quite a few Middle Eastern clients where they want pure bling, absolute bling. I have clients in Hollywood who want it absolutely perfect. I mean, they virtually want me to film myself doing it so they can inspect it, by an inch of it. You get certain clients who want it really understated. They don't want any fuss. And then you got your Indian clientele who again want, vibrant colors and lots of gold and lots of metallic. So it is a real interesting. And I also run etiquette courses. I'm sort of part of the curriculum where, I have to sort of teach the etiquette of a global audience. So for instance, you would never give this particular white flower in France because it symbolizes death, as you wouldn't use black at all, which I love black and white wrapping, but you just, the Far East, that's completely frowned upon. So it's a real mixture as well, but exciting.
It is. It's cool. I mean, it's kind of the kiss, bow, or shake your hand. Like, which one is that? And I remember learning that when I was young and I was in school, because international studies was my goal. And you don't realize that you said it. Each culture has their own set of your stated rules that you're not familiar with. So you need to learn those.
Yeah.
And that's what's been your favorite culture? I know you probably like all of them. I'm the same, but what would be your favorite that you wrap for?
That's a really tricky one. I might have to come back to that because there are so many, like, racking my brains. I think probably one of the most memorable ones that I had was during lockdown. I worked for Netflix and I advertised it at the time. It was very sort of under wraps, excuse the pun. And the Oscars, the BAFTAs, the Golden Globes, they were all behind closed doors, and there were no awards ceremonies in person. So what they did is they gifted any nominees or any winners beautiful gifts, and I oversaw all of the operation for sort of Middle East and Europe for that. But they wanted like that jaw-dropping look, and I remember that on one of the deals that they gave me, one of the jobs, it was sex education. I think it was series 4, and they wanted me to sort of present a gift which had the wow factor, but it was going into a white box with Netflix on it, and they wanted greenery because that was part of the branding. And I racked my brain thinking, how can I add the sort of nature and greenery twist on something that's very understated and contemporary? And I watched a few episodes just to get my head around it, and then I realized actually what I wanted to do was have that gasping moment, like the Oscars, or when somebody gets an award, that like take your breath away moment. I wanted to encapsulate that into the gifting. And so I did a prototype and approached them with a PowerPoint and said, look, I think this will do it. And basically it was a very, very plain box, but as soon as you opened it, it was like a garden, a flower.
Oh, great idea.
With the items like wired into the base so they wouldn't move, and it all had to be dried foliage so it didn't die in transit.
Right.
And obviously with customs as well. So that was a really, really interesting.
Very cool. Was it a bigger box?
It was pretty big. But yeah. I remember going to buy all of the flowers, and one of the black London cabs, I filled it.
That is very cool. Did those ship over to the States, or was that just in the European?
They went everywhere. So,
okay.
A lot was sort of UK and Europe, but there were some that did go overseas.
Probably they wanted to see it because that sounds so beautiful. My gosh. And we've done some gifts for the Oscars and Disney, ABC Studios, and it's just exactly what you described. Like, you have to have a wow factor for sure. I think it should be that way anyway, but You're some are understated, some should be understated, and some need to be a little bit more.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
I love, I don't know about you, but I love the sort of like design process when you're given a brief. I had a fantastic job. I've been with Dior now for about 15 years. And for several years, I used to go to Paris and do all their filming for their sort of staff training. But they also said, can you design a bow? And so, I was regularly going to Paris to sort of do all these prototypes, ribbons and bows. And it's amazing that, one of the bows that I did as part of the filming, but one that I designed actually sort of went to be photographed and ended up on billboards, which was really,
how cool is that?
yeah. And that was a real pinch me moment. I was in New York once and there was my gift on a billboard and just
Oh,
thought,
that's so neat. Did you take a picture of that?
did,
Oh,
yeah.
good. That's really cool, Jane. That is really cool. I mean, because you put, somebody sees it as a beautiful gift, but it's an art piece. Just, it's like when we do the Ferragamo ribbon, there's two, or the way they have it, it's almost upside down. It's a little complicated, probably like the Dior. It's probably pretty similar to that. Coach is kind of along the same lines, but it's like, my word, it's an art piece. It takes work and it takes time to master it. And, and I'm assuming you have a great team because it looks like you do.
Fantastic. Yeah. They're all handpicked, and they're really great people. They work their socks off in the holiday. They really do.
Yeah, that's the same here. I could not do anything without the team that I have. They're just, I might have an idea, and like you, I think my favorite besides inspiring my team would be the design side. What can I come up with that is going to reflect the recipient and the giver? How can I make that work? So that's really fun. That's great. It's great to hear these stories. I absolutely love it. Okay, question. What is one myth about gift wrapping that people outside of the industry believe to be true?
So is that myth related to people with a gift wrapping business or just in general, would you say?
I think in general. Yeah.
I think a lot of people worry about gift wrapping, and certainly in the holidays they leave it to the last minute, and it's a big deal, but actually it isn't. If you're organized, it makes such a difference, and just have a little bit of space. So that, that myth, I try and crush that. It isn't hard work. It's just being organized and just having a few different materials, and then life is so much better.
Yeah, you have to plan ahead. And I'm sure you have to plan ahead. I have grandchildren. So with holiday, I have to really plan.
Yeah.
So, okay, question. Side, this is not this written down. Do you like to, when you were wrapping your own gifts for your own tree, do you like everything to match, or do you like it to be for the person receiving the gift? Like, or do you do it differently every year? What do you do?
This will make you laugh, that my Christmas tree is normally up by about September because I'm doing events and filming and etc. So I actually have fake presents under the tree ready.
That is great. Yeah, that is a great idea. How funny.
Yeah. And then my own presents, I'm very clever that I wrap them on the job when I'm not busy. So you sort of find that the first hour you might be just sort of getting a few people, and the longer the day goes, the busier you get. So, and obviously I work in some fantastic stores like Selfridges and Harrods, where I will go in, buy bits and pieces. I'll half wrap it so the security guard can check the receipt with the purchase when I check out as a staff member, and then I'll just finish it at home. So all of my gifts actually are completely different, Michelle, except for the fake presents.
That is so funny. I am going to take that idea this year. I'm going to do that. So that's such a great idea. I have some fake presents sitting around that I pre-wrapped.
Beautiful.
But when it comes to Christmas, I wrap according to the person. So we asked this question. I asked my team this one. So I thought, okay, I'm going to ask you that question. That is a great idea. Okay, so you wrote your book. I read it. It's beautiful. You have beautiful pictures in there. What led you to because you had to do a lot of photography on that for sure, because you have a lot of photos in there. How did that come about? Like, what inspired you to create your book and write it?
I wanted to do a book for a long time, and I had a mind full of ideas. And a company over here called Marks and Spencer's approached me. It was a very, very long time ago, and they wanted me to write a book for them. And I turned it down. I wanted to do the book for myself. And I over the years, I sort of through social media met a lot of people who did books, went to book launches. So I was sort of in that circle, and there was a publisher who I really liked the look and feel of their books. The quality was beautiful, that it was sort of matte photography, just beautiful. You picked it up and you just loved it. So I only approached one publisher, and that was the publisher that took me on. And they were fantastic. They had, a creative team and an art director and an amazing photographer. So, like the art director, I'm quite particular how photos are taken and what they look like and the positioning, and I'm very, very sort of I have my own way of the styling. But this stylist was incredible, that I could just leave her and she would tussle ribbon and it would be how I liked it, because occasionally I'll go, oh, I don't like that, it's too staged or it's too messy. He just knew how to style and was right on my wavelength, which I loved.
And that helps you because
Yeah,
you don't
yeah,
have to do the entire thing,
yeah,
somebody's
that's it.
there to help you do that. What was beautifully done. Have you decided to do any more? I mean, I know you have your classes, but have you decided to do any other books or write any other books?
Well, I was approaching a publisher. It was sort of just after COVID about a book, and they said, we absolutely love your book, Jane, but we just can't get the foreign rights. So this was during COVID. So I'm actually in talks now. I think it was just the wrong time to launch another book. So book number 2, yeah, I've got it all up there. Just need to get the publisher and get the foreign rights.
Yeah. Now, and will it be more about your story? What is this one about? What would this be more about?
Yeah,
Like,
I'm not going to go too much into it, but
yeah, sure.
Again, I feel like the last one, a lot of people said, it's my Bible. I refer to it a lot. So I want the same sort of format, but there'll be different things, and obviously more on sustainability and that sort of thing, ideas, new photography. So, but I still want that Bible feature about it.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a great go-to for a lot of different ideas. It's very good. What has been your biggest mistake so far? And what was it? Yeah. And how did you handle it?
I would say early on, I never had a business plan, or, I didn't do any of that. It was just really, £100 on the kitchen table. Let's give it a go. Let's suck and see. And initially, you're trying to get known.
Whoops. Oh, you froze. Hold on. Sorry, Jane. Okay, stop recording.